My name is Mark, and I make music under the name Junklight. And I've been wanting to start a vlog for a little while for a number of reasons, really. First of all, I enjoy watching other people's vlogs on YouTube, and I've always been a great believer in contributing back. It's one of the great things about YouTube is it's a very democratic way of making media. When we were children, I'm 50. When we were children, the television was broadcast at you. There were 4 channels, or there were 3 when I was young, and then there was 4. You had to watch the programs when they were on. You had very little opportunity to time shift until video recorders came along, and the idea of making your own was impossible. So I really like YouTube. I learn a huge amount from it. It's if you need to do anything from fixing your plumbing, we've just got a puppy, training the puppy, everything. YouTube, there's somebody there for something. And I've learned a great deal about making music from other YouTubers, and I wanted to share my thoughts. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. What's this vlog going to be about? Well, I want to talk about a number of things, really. Obviously, I have a bunch of hardware. I have software, and I make music. So obviously there's going to be some tech talk. I'm interested in the creative process and talking a little bit about that. And I suppose sometimes as well, a bit further that the things that inspire me, the things that interest me. So broadly, the creative process of making music using technology. There'll be some technology in-depths and looking at some of the gear, because like all of us, I like my gear, I like my toys, and we're all interested in the whys and wherefores, but I'm also interested in using them to make music. It's not just technology for technology's sake. So it's worth having a quick look around my setup, I guess. So the eye-catching item, of course, is the modular Eurorack. I've got 2 rows here. I've managed to stick with 2 rows for nearly 3 years now. I can feel the itch for another one, but I kind of I need to invest in it, and I've got other commitments, really. So managed to stick with this. I have swapped and changed the modules over the 2 or 3 years and kind of come up with a fairly dense set of functionality that suits my needs. I will do an episode completely in detail about this, why I have the modules I have and what they use them for. I've got the Mother 32. Now, I grew up at a time when, in my teens, I listened to a lot of prog, the Moog sound, Tangerine Dream particularly, but loads of others, is just a key part of that. I wanted something that had a Moog filter in it. I wanted, look at it, I mean, it's a beautiful little gadget. It looks like a Moog, the old modulars, the big 5U items, and it's got that sound, and it hits the spot for me. And it's a good workhorse little monosynth. It's only got 1 oscillator, but because you've got the patch bay, I frequently use it with the Stowe from Make Noise, so I've got a dual oscillator set up there. And in fact, you can see that's what's patched into it from whatever I was doing with it last. I quite like the fact you can tear it down and put it back up. I never make any attempt whatsoever to save it. I patch quickly. I'm not precious about patches. It's a very fast workflow. If I need a sound in another piece I'm working on, I can just throw stuff together. And interestingly, it's taught me a huge amount about synthesis, and that's translated into other synthesizers. So yeah, fantastic tool. I used to be a Nord modular user. I had a micro until I fried the output circuits, which is unfortunate, but that kind of got me into modular. So what else have I got? The Electro boxes, relatively new, one of them very new, obviously. I love these. These have got a real immediacy. They're very deep boxes. You can do a huge amount. I've got a sampler. I love FM. I used to have a DX7 back in the day. The DX7 was really nice, but everyone knows it's kind of like programming through a letterbox. with the silly display and stuff. And quite frankly, and I don't think people talk about this very often, DX7s are as noisy as hell. They are not a nice clean signal. This sounds amazing. It's got a good compromise. It's got the filter in as well as the FM engine. I've seen people saying, oh, it's only 4 operators. Unless you are a genius FM synthesist, and there are a few of those, you're fine. What's lovely about this is it's really immediate. With 2 or 3 pages in the display, you've got massive control. I love how this simplifies the ratios and stuff. Programming FM, you don't want to be going to a textbook. You want to just turn dials and knobs and hear your sound. The DPO module has got quite a lot of analog FM in, and that's wicked. But this is proper digital FM. Only just beginning to dig into this, but this is a powerful device, and the two together, that Electron workflow is very immediate. The organelle is a computer in a box. What's nice about it, and it runs Pure Data or now Super Collider, it's got your ins and outs, it's got knobs, it's got a wee keyboard, and it's got a dedicated control system, and it's got a number of patches made by other people that sound fantastic. Now I know how to program Pure Data. In fact, the Pure Data distribution has a library that I wrote in there somewhere. I have not done a lot of programming for this. I've got a wee Frippertronics patch that we'll probably talk about Frippertronics at some point, because Robert Fripp a massive influence on me musically and philosophically. Frippertronics is something I use a lot as a technique, and I wanted it in the hardware box. It's kind of how I originally talked myself into buying this, but I really like this little box, and I will do an episode on the organelle, what I use it for and what's great about it. The Mauer MB33, I spent a lot of time in the 90s around raves and dance music and techno and trance and all that kind of stuff. Hardfloor in particular, massive love for them. The 303, iconic sound. Realising I could get kind of something close to that sound in a wee box. It was a no-brainer. I bought it. It hasn't got the sequencer in, but no shortage of sequencers. It does all of the things that you need it to do. Interestingly, the way I use it now is very much the kind of Richie Hawtin type sound, with those lovely acid slides drenched in reverb. My audio interface is the Pro 40, and I've got a Native Instruments Complete Audio 6 running as an aggregate device at the moment. The reason for that is there aren't really enough line ins and outs. The world of audio interfaces seems very dedicated to microphone preamps, and it strikes me that there must be, with the number of synthesists around in the world and people with nice hardware setups, there must be a market for a box with a bunch of line ins, maybe less outs, definitely less preamps. I have a microphone. I use 1 preamp input sometimes. I have far too many preamps available to me. So yeah, I need to work out whether I'm going to put a mixer in front of this, or I'm going to expand via the ADAT connections on the back. So at some point I need more line ins and outs. Software, I run Logic, Bitwig. I'm trying to restrict it to those two, but I also have Reaper and Ableton. I moved recently. I was thinking, am I going to move from Ableton 9 to 10, or do I move to Bitwig? The reason I moved to Bitwig is because of this. I love my MPE. This is an incredible instrument. I'll do an episode all about this and why I love it. But this is really kind of... So I don't play guitar. I cannot get my fingers around the frets. I've tried several times. It's just... doesn't work for me at all. but you want that expressivity. A guitarist can sit down, or a wind player can sit down and just play. The Seaboard is as close as I can get to that. And yeah, so the support for that's important. So I've moved to Bitwig. I'm going to talk a little bit about. I'll do an episode on the different DAWs and my different views of them, because they all have strengths and weaknesses. None of them are perfect, and I think they open up opportunities really to look at things in different ways. They're just a tool, but they're not transparent. They colour your approach, and I think that's quite interesting. I also have a stack of AUs plugins, and I think that's worth exploring some of those. Some of those are absolutely essential parts of my workflow, and some of it are things I bought and kind of, because they're a nice idea, don't really use them. It's probably worth talking a little bit about that too. So that's a quick overview. I'm going to do a more in-depth video in the future about how I have my workflow set up. I have quite a fluid workflow. I reconfigure often. It's one of the reasons I like the Bitwigs and Abletons of this world, because they allow you to configure very much in the software and change the workflow. Changing the workflow gets you out of your creative ruts, and that's something I want to talk about too. So this introductory video, I'm really just playing, seeing how it works out. I'm hoping that this is going to be a fruitful conversation. Like I say, YouTube is a democratic place. It's not just broadcast. It's a conversation, and that's quite important. So there you go. I should do all the things. You like, subscribe. I'll work out how to do all of the things that people do. Like down there maybe. Subscribe maybe down there as well. I don't know. I shall work it all out. I shall pick my patter up. I shall undoubtedly come up with a catchphrase of some sort. Probably a nice fancy introduction if I don't make one already for this video. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you'll tune in to further episodes. And we can enjoy exploring making music and technology in a creative way together.